Well, I'd like to first say that I just got a text while we were on this call that Jenny and I, my wife and I, just got, we get tested every week now. It's our little date. Every Tuesday morning, we go down there, Embarcadero. Negative, sweet, woo!
That was Kevin Cline, who co-owns Front Porch restaurant in Bernal Heights. I'm your host, Jeff Hunt. Welcome to Storied San Francisco, a weekly podcast where San Franciscans from all walks of life share their stories, and you get to know your neighbors. In this podcast, Kevin picks up where he left off in part 1, with the various bartending jobs he had when he moved to San Francisco. He and his then girlfriend, now wife, had a crush, as he puts it, on Emmy's Spaghetti Shack. They got to know the head chef and hostess there. A few years later, they asked Kevin if he wanted to open a restaurant with them. And that's how the story of the Front Porch in Bernal Heights got started. Here's Kevin.
I bartended at a number of dives.
Let's hear some names.
Yeah, remember the Beerness, which I thought was really... I liked the wordplay, the pun of it, which is why I even walked in there to apply. It was on the corner of California and Van Ness. Mm-hmm. Beer Nest. Cute. And it was the craziest little dive bar with this Czech owner who would just get so rambunctious, party. And then, even if there were 2 people in the bar, he would try to, Slivovitz for everyone. Let's do this. We have to make party.
Dedication.
Then I worked at the Beer Cellar, which he was also owned by the same folks. And that's down Sutter and Taylor, I think. Sutter and Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know that.
And it at that time had turned into a hip hop nightclub. Okay. Which was also really cool music at that time. I didn't realize how much I liked that music while I was working it, but that was so fast paced, and there was no ventilation, and it would get so hot in there. Sometimes the clouds would form.
Oh my god!
It was that was a cool experience in bartending as fast as you can, make as many drinks as you possibly can. There was not enough time to make as many drinks as needed to happen.
Wow.
And that was kind of cool, being in, and then I also worked at a Catalan restaurant at the time called Venga. That was at the corner of Folsom, Third and Folsom. Yeah. Close to the Moscone Center.
Behind Moscone, yeah.
Yeah. And that was really kind of a cool place too. That was had a big flamboyant James Beard award-winning chef doing paellas, and I learned so much about Spanish wine, and it's ruined me for wine because I just love Spanish wine. Spanish wine. Mm-hmm. We did these Perons, which are these almost like Boda bags, but made of glass, and you would squirt them into your mouth and each other's mouths, and that turned into quite a little party too for a little
right.
After that, I think I went to work at Bix. I was Blue Bar, which was part of the Black Cat. Mm-hmm. So we're at Broadway and Kearny now, so up in North Beach. Mm-hmm. And that was this amazing jazz nightclub. And, we had a tiny little bar, but again, just always busy, always hopping, a lot of fun.
And all this time in your personal life, you said it was within weeks that you met your past on and off girlfriend, now wife.
Yeah.
So were you guys together all that time?
Yeah, we got married in 2001.
Oh wow!
And we were together the whole time.
Wow.
I think because she had a roommate that was moving in, so I had to move out for about four months. I lived up in Diamond Heights for about 4 months, right on Glen Canyon, which was really pretty.
Yeah.
But the whole time we were together. So yeah,
okay.
we're coming up on 19 years being married.
Congratulations.
Which is fantastic.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, unless we're skipping over something, and if we are, please let me know. But so when and how did you meet Josie?
Right. So Jenny and I actually around the same time went into Emmy's Spaghetti Shack. So the one that was that used to be on Virginia in Mission.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I just we just had the biggest crush on that place. You know, on the food, on the atmosphere. You know,
waiting in the bar and walking through the bead curtain.
Yes, yes.
And they'd have DJs.
Yeah, and we would sit right next to a DJ. We couldn't hear a word that each other said, and it didn't matter.
It was dark too. It was like a perfect date spot.
It was, and we in fact we had our engagement party there.
Fuck yeah!
And so Josie, since we were regulars, we started to become friends with Josie and Sarah, the chef at the time, and
I wasn't even aware that Josie worked there. Can you what?
Yeah. Okay. So Josie was, she ran the floor there.
Okay.
And she and Emmy, Emmy was and still is a super hands-on owner, mm-hmm. But Josie was kind of her right-hand man.
That's why she's so familiar.
Yeah.
When I met her through Front Porch, I was like, I know you.
Where do I know you from? Yeah. But there is that sense about Josie too. Like when you first meet her, it's like, I know you from, and she'll fill in, another life or something like that. But we just had the biggest crush on the whole Emmy's experience. And then I remember once Josie, while we were sitting at a table, Josie was like, you guys should come to my birthday party. And Jenny and I were just over the moon. Like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing. Oh my God, we're really becoming friends here. Woo-hoo. Right. And there was totally that excitement about it. And at the time, I worked at Bick's restaurant downtown. So I had to I bartended there, and I would wear a starched white, thing and a bow tie. And it's a great place. I love that place, but I did not like wearing that uniform. And I would, go into the Emmys where they're wearing, anything and everything they wanted, and had the cool homemade hand touch decor. And I was like, oh man, if I ever do something on my own, I want it to be like this. And we were probably talking with Josie when we said it.
Right.
And so a couple of years later, actually got a phone call from Josie out of the blue, which said, hey, you know that place on the corner of Tiffany and 29th Street? Do you want to be my business partner? Or if not, let's all go camping.
One or the other.
Yeah, no, it really was. That was the message that she left me. I wish I had saved it.
Camping or start a restaurant. Is Josie? Is she from the South? I can't.
She's from no, she's from SoCal.
Okay, well, right.
Yeah, so Southern California.
Southern California.
She's from the South.
Light years different, but okay. So so she had the idea to open a restaurant. Whose idea was the theme or the direction?
Yeah. So it was nobody's. It was nobody. It came from so Sarah, who was the chef over at Emmy's, is from Barbados.
Okay.
And she came with Josie to open up the Front Porch with us. And she said, initially, I have this great fried chicken recipe that we'll put on as a special for the first week, just because I know people will like it. And, because at the time, it was the time of the gastropub, it was, and that was what we were trying to do, was like upscale pub fare, neighborhood restaurant. Um, but once the fried chicken hit, we became celebrated as the new Southern restaurant in San Francisco, which we were trying to tell. No, our chef's from the Caribbean, so we went from one day of being a British influenced gastropub, because she's also from Barbados and London. Her folks are, so we had one day where our original vision was one day. And then we were a fried chicken Southern spot, but we weren't. So we went really hard to the Caribbean to try and so Sarah Kernon, who now has an amazing place called Miss Ollie's in Oakland. We were trying to make it this Caribbean. We're cooking this awesome Caribbean food, and but people would still say, "Oh, this is the best Southern food I've ever had." This is, or sometimes they would say, "This isn't Southern food," as an insult. But you're right. But when Sarah left to open up her own place a few years later, we were like, okay, we need to find a Southern. Let's do Southern food, and we found a chef from New Orleans, whose folks were from the Dominican Republic. So it was a really good, still a little Caribbean, and that is when we planted that's where we planted our flag.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know Barbados or Barbadan food specifically, but
Bayesian.
Okay. I don't know that food specifically, but generally, it's a generalization, but Caribbean food, Southern food, there's a lot of connections there.
There's a lot of connection. A lot of similar ingredients. People from Africa in the Caribbean to the South, that awful triangle there, at the founding of the country. But the food that came out of Africa through the Caribbean to the South, where you're using offcuts of meat, you're using, not, a green like collard greens, which is just inedible unless you cook it down for, hours and hours and hours. But then it becomes this kind of magic thing, the use of vinegars, the use of spices, the use of okra, which, gumbo is the African word for okra. And it's one of the ingredients. There is a connection.
I'm pretty sure the place already looked like it does now the first time I went.
Yeah.
Would be back then. And I was just, what is this place?
Exactly the same. Yeah.
It's like they made it for me.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Super
It was,
cool.
the place itself in the 40s was transformed, maybe the late 30s was transformed from a garage into an Italian restaurant by the Giomi family. The Giomi family, the place Sodini's at the corner of Grant and Green, that's their place. And there's actually a picture of their grandfather behind the Front Porch bar. It's blown up all over. And Sodini's is one of my favorite restaurants.
I love Sodini's, and now, of course, Golden Boy and Bertolli Cheese and all that. There's a connection between Front Porch and some of my other favorite restaurants. Awesome.
Yeah. The similar aesthetic, though, huh? You can tell, there's the dark wood bar, the small space, the cozy feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did the Rock Bar, how did that all happen? And when, if you don't know.
Yeah, so Rock Bar was owned by this really cool woman named Esperanza, who was from Nicaragua. And she made friends with us when we moved in, because the place, before we took it over, was a Nicaraguan bar grill called Dominic's Bar and Grills. Oh, more than one grill.
Okay.
More than one grills.
Okay.
And they had started out as friends, but then over the course of the 30 years that they were both in business right across the street from each other, there had developed a feud-like feeling. which which when we moved in there, she was very quick to tell us about. But she kind of adopted us, and she said, well, why don't you guys run my bar for me and then give me all the money? That was her initial deal. We're like, well, that sounds pretty good. But
sounds like she wanted to take you on your second big ride around San Francisco.
Yes, that's right. That was exactly it.
What a deal.
But as the years went by, we became really good friends. And then when she was just really ready to go, ready to retire, she gave us the first right of refusal. And, having a cocktail bar across the street from a restaurant is going to be good for the restaurant, no matter who owns the bar. It's going to be good for the bar, no matter who owns the restaurant. But the fact that we have them both is great. I'm actually sitting in Rock Bar right now.
Yes, you are.
It is empty.
Well, when you first came online, I was like, where? You went out to get your drink, and I was like, I recognize. And Michelle's like, oh, that's Rock Bar, duh.
Yeah.
Just quickly, so I know, when did you guys take over Rock Bar?
Rock Bar was 2013.
Got it. So you got that one Giants World Series victory in 14.
Yes.
There.
Got it. That was it.
Yeah.
There's still champagne stains on the field.
Yeah. There might still be some people from that night still there.
Yeah. Let me check underneath the seat there. Ready, get up.
Kevin, do you want to talk about, or I should rephrase that. I would like you to talk about running your restaurant during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay.
Start wherever you feel like starting and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to first say that I just got a text while we were on this call that Jenny and I, my wife and I, just got, we get tested every week now. It's our little date. Every Tuesday morning, we go down there, Embarcadero. Negative, sweet. Woo! But
right.
But during the COVID, I'd say after Mardi Gras, things really started slowing down with people not wanting to go out. Turns out at the time I was frustrated by that, but I'm now glad that fewer and fewer people were going out. That's right. Maybe some in some way why San Francisco is in a better place than some as far as the response. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, our to-goes and deliveries were ramping up to just, going from maybe 5% of business to going to 80% of business.
Is this before shutdown? You mean before shelter in place?
Before shutdown.
Oh, okay, that was already happening.
That was happening, and then kind of in the last couple of nights, so almost the Ides of March there when the shelter in place came on. Mm-hmm. One of our last guests was the cast of Hamilton. They had just been shut down, and it was one of their members' birthdays, and so they were celebrating together that night. And we all kind of had this feeling like this is, if they're shutting down plays and stuff, that it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon, and it did. I was really glad that we were able to keep all of our full-time employees.
All of them. Wow. How many do you have on staff?
We have 18.
Okay. Wow.
So a lot of the people who had two jobs, or a lot of people left. A couple people left because they had family members at home that were at high-risk groups. Right. One of our full-time waitresses had just had a child. Oh, wow. So there were, we lost about 25% of the people who were working here, but all the people who were full-time who wanted to work, we were able to keep them on, which was awesome. So, frustrating certainly, because this is something that we've been doing a long time, something that we felt that we were doing pretty well, something we had fun doing. And then, so there was that feeling of loss and frustration. There's also the unknown, like, is there ever going to be a Front Porch again? like, are we going to come out of this? That was real. That was real. And that was really scary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in Rock Bar right now. I've had some time to, I mean, I don't know if there'll ever be a Rock Bar again. I don't know when they're going to open up bars, if they're going to open up bars. And that's scary too. But then almost immediately after that feeling was, okay, well, let's get to work. Until they shut us down, let's figure out a way. And we just pivoted within a day or two to being all takeout and delivery. Waiters and bussers and bartenders were now delivery drivers. Were expediters, bagging food up. The porch, which was always like the welcoming. The reason why we named it the Front Porch, is this welcoming space. And now, we have it blockaded off. It's like, It's the anti-porch. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel right. But at the same time, that those first couple of weeks, especially when we were all scared, not just the Front Porch, but everybody in San Francisco, that just there was this gratitude when we were able to bring our Southern comfort food and really provide that Southern comfort to people. So people just waiting at home, leaving it on their doorstep. They left notes for us, like thank you notes, and people were buying gift certificates, and the neighborhood, the Bernal, Noe, Mission, Glen Park, the gratitude I can't express really. How grateful I am that those people who we consider our guests, in some way, were taking care of us. It was our job always to have that Southern Mission hospitality, take care of them, while they're in our doors, and in a real way that flipped. They were really taking care of the Front Porch, and I'm really grateful. Josie and I we talk about it a lot. That was such a special, and still is. I mean, we're still in this.
That was Kevin Cline. Join us next week when we'll hear from City Hall volunteer Jesus Barragan. Music for Storied San Francisco is by Otis McDonald. Photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. The show is hosted and produced by me. Over on our website, storiedsf.com, you can browse through the 120-plus episodes we've done over the last 3 years. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. If you see an option to rate and review what we do, we'd really appreciate it. And if you have any feedback or people you think should be on the podcast, our email is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay healthy.